Hi, folks. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope the volume's okay. If you can let me know. Okay, things will be done a wee bit differently this afternoon. A wee bit less formal. Still the same format until I come up with something new. There will be a wee different section in the middle. And I won't be picking up stories because you don't have to see the other Davy because he's not here. So I'll be able to put stories up on the page. All right, and first up today, I'm not going to put this up. It's a bad news story for us people here in Scotland. Why is it a bad news story? We'll get to that at the end of the story. So first up this morning, BBC Scotland at Pacific Quay was evacuated at 6:30 a.m. this morning as a fire broke out on the 5th floor. An air-conditioned unit in the plant room on the 5th floor on the roof level went on fire. The building was evacuated. Scottish Fire and Rescue attended with 7 appliances. 7. So we're expecting a big blaze. Well, as I say, it's a bad news story because by 8:30 they were back in the building and pumping out propaganda again and telling us all how shite we are again. So that's the bad news. The fucking place didn't burn to the ground. It would have been a good news story if they'd all got out and the fucking place had burnt down and crippled their ability to broadcast here in Scotland for the next umpteen months. Then we really watch London tell us we're shite every day instead of Scotland, headquarters of the London operation of the propaganda machine, state propaganda machine. Rip the pish. So, as I say, we start off with a bad news story for the people of Scotland, a good news story for the propaganda machine that is the Pacific Quay. As I say, unfortunately, they were back in the building and pumping out their propaganda by 8:30 this morning. You have no idea how disappointed I am. I actually thought when I got up at 6 o'clock this morning, 6:30 this morning, 7 o'clock, put the news up to get the headlines. And of course, the BBC website hadn't been updated because the team that would normally update the website had been evacuated out the building as well. So, and then of course, the only actual news story which was on the website was the fact that there was a fire and that they went out to autoplay of music while the situation was dealt with. I say, it is a bad news story. The place didn't burn to the fucking ground. Ah. Wow. Okay, next story we're going to cover is a knuckle dragger story. A real knuckle dragger story. I'm actually going to put it up. All right. So let's get the knuckle dragger story up first. An angry confrontation and online abuse inside the asylum protest in a divided town. Now, what's this all about? Well, this is about this young lady here with a phone in her hand approaching Mark Daly of the BBC's Disclosure programme while he was interviewing an asylum seeker in a park in Falkirk. This young lady came up to him, pointing his camera at him, and asked him what he was doing, encouraging these people to sit in the park. She then went on to say that these people had been following children around Falkirk, apparently. These people, of course, no specifics. And of course, at what was going on, a bunch of asylum seekers playing football in a park came out to have a look to see what was happening. So she told the reporter to take the person she was interviewing elsewhere. The person she was interviewing felt so intimidated, he told the BBC not to use the piece because he had to live in Falkirk. This June put the video out on social media where it went viral, where she was being hailed as a protector of women and children, or she was being abused as a racist. You get to make your own mind up what one it is. But I'm going to read out her post on the video, on the abuse that she's had for the video. So I'll put it up. So I'll take BBC story down, and I'll find the one for this one. The next story's interesting, folks, but I'll need to find this one first. Right, here we go, we'll put it up. This is her Facebook post about the video. Her name's Barbara Cashley. Barbara Cashley. BBC interview was yesterday, done by journalist Mark Daly. Pink ladies of Falkirk invited me to go with them just because I have a big mouth. Thank you, girls. And after hearing their concerns, their reports of what was going on in Falkirk, I was like, surely no. That's way too close to home. People need to know, so I'm telling you. That's why I've been so quiet. Thanks, folks. I hear you say, well, I've been on a mission to have my voice and that of scared women and children of Scotland heard. And that hopefully happened today. Scared women and children of Scotland. I'd like to see some evidence for that. For the last 4 weeks, I've fought the fight, and yes, I know jack shit about politics, but I'm learning. I'm also learning about sides, and if the truth be told, I'm nowhere. In other words, no ideology. I've no idea how this can be fixed, if it will be or won't be fixed. But what I do know is it's happening. No explanation about what's happening. I've been called out for all sorts and took it sometimes and not gracefully. But there are thousands of people too scared to speak out in fear of retaliation from friends, colleagues, neighbours. Let me rephrase that. It's no friends, colleagues, neighbours. It's just people that are no fucking racists. Oh, and she's worried about Facebook trolls or lefties or righties. It's crazy. Now, what's crazy is you shouting at fucking asylum centres where broken people are looking to heal and join and integrate into your society. Barbara, you need to get your head a wobble, hen. And it would appear you do know jack shit about politics. Otherwise, you know these people, one, they're illegal, and one, they're fucking dangerous. They're broken people seeking asylum. Oh dear. Sounds like a right fucking charmer, this shit. People of Falkirk, get your head a fucking wobble. Leave this shit down that road where it belongs. And I mean that. Leave this shit down that road where it belongs. Wow. Imagine Stoney shouting at an asylum centre full of broken people seeking refuge. Yeah. Apparently now we've got dads up here in Scotland painting fucking roundabouts with salt tires, and mothers up here in Scotland shouting at fucking ex-hotels. It's cross-border contamination is a thing. Wow. Right, this next one's an interesting story, folks. It is a really interesting story, and I've got a lot more investigating to do into this. But as we go through this, it gets really interesting. Okay, ministers ordered to publish Sturgeon inquiry evidence. FOI Commissioner orders release of evidence. The inquiry from the inquiry into whether Miss Sturgeon broke the ministerial code or not. Okay, now the information had been withheld, but The information request was made on the 12th of April 2021 by a Mr. Benjamin Harrope, a private citizen from the Dumfries in Galloway, allegedly. Now I thought, like you know I would, what is it this Benjamin wants? This Benjamin Harrope. So I went and asked. I asked what it is that Harrope wants. And asked who he was. So I asked, who is Benjamin Harrope and why does he want the Sturgeon inquiry files? And what came up was, I'll share it with you if you like, very little actually. Benjamin Harrope is a member of the public who use freedom of information laws to request all written evidence from the investigation into whether former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon breached the Scottish Ministerial Code. He wants the files as part of a long-running effort to ensure transparency and accountability in the Scottish Government's handling of the Sturgeon investigation. Why does he want the files? Mr. Harrope's FOI request submitted in April 2021 is driven by a desire for public disclosure of the submissions and evidence gathered by the independent advisor James Hamilton. That was the Irish QC. The core of his case has been to challenge the government's attempts to withhold information, which has involved a lengthy legal battle. The legal challenges has moved through several stages: the initial request refusal, information commissioner's ruling, court battle, and ongoing process. Now, Mr. Harrope's persistence has been a central factor in forcing the release of information, and related legal advice, and some opposition leaders raises huge questions about the independence of the original investigator. He has also lodged a petition with the Scottish Parliament calling for a review and update of the Scottish Ministerial Code. Now, I asked where he was born, and there is no information on it, only that he's a private citizen living in Dumfries in Galloway, and apparently he works for the local authority. So I thought, okay, that's interesting. No information on his background, nothing like that. So I asked for images of him. And AI tell me there's only one image out there, and that's on the social media, and that's of a young man on a boat. So I then went to Google, or my search engine, and I typed in images of Benjamin Harrope, FOI raiser in the Scottish Parliament. And I got pictures of Mr. Harrope. Notice I said pictures. If I can find them. Yep. So let me put them up, folks, because this is interesting. When I asked for images of Benjamin Harrope, who requested the information from the Scottish Parliament, this is what I got. Pictures of Benjamin Harrope. Something else I need to put up. And I'll put it up in a minute. So, this young fella here, this is the picture that was being spoke about. I'll put it up, if I can. Wait a minute. This image here, this young man. This is a young fella who was allegedly, is allegedly Benjamin Harrope. Look at his features, right? And then I went, I recognise that face from somewhere. And as I was going along the pictures, I ran across this picture of the same Benjamin Harrope as an adult. And I thought, I recognise that picture and all. Can they be the same person? Well, let's go back to this young fella. And let's go have a look at his Twitter feed, his social media. Benjamin Harroup supports Scottish independence after currently at school, McDonald's, referee, camp counsellor, currently reading about Watergate. Occasionally. And he's an occasional FOIer, apparently, right? I thought, well, that's bloody interesting. That's interesting. So, where are we? We're back at that page. Did you see his X page there? I'm not sure, but I didn't have, I wasn't looking, so I'll put it back up again. So that's, no, his Twitter page hasn't come up, has it? I'll stop sharing that, I'll put his Twitter page up. So this is Benjamin Harroup's Twitter page. As I say, support Scottish independence after currently at school, at McDonald's, a referee and a camp counsellor. I thought that's interesting. So we'll stop sharing that and we'll put the pictures back up again. So we'll take that one down. And I went along here to this picture of Benjamin Harroup. I'll put it up again. Make sure you can see it, folks. Why is that no there? This is the other Benjamin Harroup. And I thought, that's the same guy 25 years later. I said, well, we'll just check. Let's check his Twitter feed. Now, I don't know if this will come up here, folks. If not, I'll share it. Shut the other one down. So let's visit this Twitter feed. It would appear that my pictures are not coming up here for some reason. So this guy here is that guy 20 years later. Let's have a look at his Twitter feed. Click on his Twitter feed. I'll share it for you. I need to stop sharing that a second, because it's not coming up. And that man's image takes me straight back to the same page. Benjamin Harroup supports Scottish independence after currently at school, McDonald's, referee, camp counsellor, currently reading about Watergate. Occasional. He's an occasional FOIer. I thought, but hold on a minute. So, the first picture and the second picture are both the same guy, and both their Twitter feeds are the same. I says, but there's something funny here, because I've seen that guy before somewhere. So, Minister's ordered to publish Sturgeon inquiry evidence. Blah, blah, blah. Scottish Information Commissioner. I'll take that down. Put the other one up. This is difficult. Okay. Scottish Minister's ordered to publish Sturgeon's inquiry evidence. And who ordered it? This guy here. This guy here is the Scottish Information Commissioner, and his name is David Hamilton. Now, I want to go back to that second picture of Mr. Benjamin Harroup. So we'll stop sharing that. Keep that picture in your head, folks. Stop sharing that, and we'll put up a second picture of Mr. Benjamin Harroup again. As you can see, folks, it's the same guy. It's the very same guy as the Information Commissioner. And I thought, no, that can't be right. Surely Benjamin Harroup can't be the Information Commissioner. But it's quite clear the picture on the profile on X is the guy that will go up and now 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And the picture of the guy we have up and now, I'll stop sharing it, is a picture of this guy, which I'll share. So I thought, that can't be right, Because that's the Scottish Information Commissioner. How can he be Benjamin Harroup? So I thought I better look a wee bit deeper into this. So I did. Now, of course, I don't know if you know this, folks, but David Hamilton worked for 27 years as with the police, as a police commissioner for Scotland. And he got promoted into this position after he retired, sort of thing. So I thought, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go and have a look at pictures of the Information Commissioner. I'll find the right one. Right, I don't know if this has come up or not. See if it's come up or not. No, I need to stop sharing that one. Right, share that one, come up with this one. Pictures of the Scottish Information Commissioner. That one there, guys, is this photo with the background blurred out. That photo there, with the background blurred out. It's the same fucking guy. There's something no right here, folks. How can Benjamin Harroup and David Hamilton be the same guy? But according to the information I can find, he's either got a doppelganger in the Friesen Galloway or it's the same fucking guy. Now, I have been trying to find images of David Hamilton as a young boy in Dalkeith, but can't find any. But, as I say, the picture of Benjamin Harroup as a young man, and I'll put them up one by one so you can see them. This young fella, about 15 to 20, is this fella here. And this fella here, stop sharing. I'll put this one back up. Is this fella here. And if we've just seen for the Information Commissioner's photograph outside the Information Commission's property in St Andrews in Fife, this guy here, I'll stop sharing that and put this one up. Is this guy here. It's this guy here. Oh, click on it and it disappears for some reason. But that guy. And that image and the image I'm facing the other way are both on the Scottish Commissioner's team website. Pictures of them. These are his portraits, official portraits. There's 6 of them. But that guy there is definitely this guy. Even the clothes are the same. Even the clothes are the same. Is this guy. And according to what I'm being told, this guy is Benjamin Harroup. And when you take to his Twitter feed, it takes you to the same Twitter feed with a picture of the young guy on it. And they are fucking ringers. The young guy and the older guy are ringers. This guy here is this guy here as a younger man. And the guy in this image is the guy in that image. This requires further investigation, folks. This really does. I'm going to look into this. Because when I wanted to find out who Benjamin Harriet was, it took me to an image of the Information Commissioner. How is that possible? No, I did ask if this young fella had put a picture of the Information Commissioner up on his feed, and I haven't seen any. I don't see any portrait. I don't see any what do you call it, icon image of you, a smug young man on Twitter having photographs of anything like this. That's not what Twitter's like. Oh, and if you go to the Information Commissioner's Facebook feed, his official Facebook feed, the image that you've just seen there, this one. Where's the share button? This image here is the image on his official Facebook page. As I say, it needs further investigation. It does, because when you look at the picture of this young man, can I change it there? Get on the right page and knob. This young man is that man 30 years ago. So as I say, this needs looked into. This needs looked into, folks. This is interesting. Could it be the Information Commissioner is releasing information to himself? And this young fella, whoever he is, this Benjamin Harriet, according to his socials, he's moved from government job to government job as well. So there's a lot of things that need looked into. He's got something to do with Wings Over Scotland, has he? I don't know who he is. As I say, this is the first time I've run. I've known about the ongoing request for information. I've known about this since, well, we have known about it since 2021 when this first started. Didn't really been following that course. We did mention it again when it went to court. The government tried to block it, and the judges in the inner sanctum telling them, no, you will release this information. And now they've got to the 12th of January to release it. But as I say, when I went looking for Benjamin Harriet, this is the guy I got. And that image is a spitting image of the Information Commissioner. And this young fella here is definitely that guy 30 years ago. So you can take that image if you want and get AI to age it. It will be that guy. This needs looked at, folks. And I am going to look at it. That's because Hashbury, the reason why I keep putting these pictures back up, I didn't want to know whether you think the same. Do you think it's the same guy? Is it somebody playing a trick? It needs looked at. Right, let's move on, shall we? On Friday, and this is mental. On Friday, a piece of emergency legislation was put down in the Scottish Parliament to prevent owners of empty businesses demanding refunds on rates that they've had to pay on their empty properties since 2020. Now, it would appear when Scotland's new non-domestic property taxes were put in place, and the Non-Domestic Property Act 2020 was put in place, the first one since devolution, they forgot to annul the 1956 Act. So basically, since 2020, there's been a statute on the books here in Scotland that wasn't legal. And councils for the last 4 years have collected over 400 million quid in non-domestic rates for empty properties. The legislation was put in place rapido to prevent business owners from demanding refunds. But I think there'll be a lot of legal cases coming out of this. But how could you do that? How could you? I mean, the 1956 Act was current right up until this Act was coming into place. And yet, when they wrote this Act, they forgot to annul the last one. So the 1956 Act was still current, and the new Act, which was supposed to supersede it, didn't. Talk about a level of incompetence, it's not true. Anyway, Mr. Ivan McKee of the SNP, the minister that brought this bill before the Parliament, he apologised to Parliament, and he explained that government lawyers missed it, the parliamentarians missed it, the parliamentary committees missed it, the councils missed it, the tax experts missed it. So the fix is now in place. Will there be a raft of legal claims against the local authorities by property owners who have paid over 400 million quid in tax at a rate of £34,000 per property, empty business property? I would imagine so. I would imagine so. But what an oversight that is, eh? You're writing a new bit of legislation to supersede the last bit of legislation, and you forget to null and void the last bit of legislation in your new legislation. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I would have thought that when you were replacing the law, it would make sense to actually take it off the statute when you're inserting the new one into the statute. And say, I'm the legal expert, but that just seems like fucking gross incompetence to me. Okay, and it is absolute gross incompetence. Now this morning, folks, I left you with a question. Did Rachel Reeves lie to Parliament over the budget? And it was a trick question, because she did lie to Parliament, but it wasn't about her budget. She misled on the budget. She didn't lie about it. She just didn't correct journalists when they were going to their local favourite Treasury Mandarin and asking about gaps and black holes because of her speech on the 4th of November. But her speech on the 4th of November accurately laid out going forward the state of the economy according to the OBR's downgrade, which means that tax receipts going forward would be less. She misled the people and the journalists because she made us all think there was a bloody black hole, when actually at the time she knew there was a surplus. She's going to tax us anyway, folks. The people of England are demanding better public services, and she's just making it fucking clear. Tax receipts will be going down. You'll be paying more just to stay still. But did she lie to Parliament and to the people? Yes, she most certainly did. I remember it. I was watching it. It's when she was talking about consequentials for Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. She rang off an 820 million figure for Scotland and said Scotland was getting it because Mr. Sarwar had asked her for it. That's a lie. Scotland was getting it because of consequentials, which was made quite clear when she announced 520 odd million for Wales and 30 odd million for Northern Ireland, or 300 million for Northern Ireland. So, did Rachel Reeves lie? And the budget, yeah, but it wasn't her speech or a black hole. That was misleading. That was a political tactic. So it was. Rachel and the Labour Party were hoping to stick the extra 30 billion that they're raising in taxes in their back pocket for giveaways for the next 2-3 years when the budget swung round, so they could get re-elected. They've been called out on it because of the OBR's leak. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known, really, until about 2 weeks in. But the OBR leak meant that people could get right and tap it right away and start analysing it. Whereas this information wouldn't have been looked at in more in depth until they'd looked into the detail of the budget itself. So she was hoping to pull a fast one, but did she mislead us on the budget when it comes to her telling us in advance that she was going to tax us? No. her telling us advance that the OBR had downgraded growth. No. Did she correct journalists when they were asking about a black hole? No, she didn't. Did their mandarins in the Treasury play journalists like a flute? Aye, they did. They most certainly did. But she did lie. She lied about money coming to Scotland because Mr. Sawar asked her for it. That was a blatant lie on the floor of the House. And that's the direction the SNP should be attacking for. No for Mr. Swinney saying the day that there should be an inquiry into misleading people. That's just absolute political play. Played the journalist like a fucking flute. Aye, the elite was to let us know about the surplus. It was to get us angry on the fact that we're all having to pay more tax when we shouldn't have needed to. Well, actually, if the people of England want better public services, tax was going to have to go up. Simple as that. So tax was going up anyway. But aye, she did. She played journalists like a fucking flute. The other David Telty's on it. It was about managing expectations. And she done it well. She played the journalist like a flute. And the elite, well, the elite just put a fucking big plan in their political strategy. But the black hole was found last year, folks. People get short fucking memories. That 20 billion black hole, that was last year. Next year's 22 billion black hole comes from the drop in immigration. Because as I've said twice now, every 100,000 less that comes through the door is a 7 billion less to the Treasury. But that won't filter through to next year. And the black hole was filled last year. She just played. One journalist left flute. David Milligan told you here. He says she's managing expectations. And so she was. Did she mislead? Yep. That was just a political strategy. Did she lie? Aye. And that's the angle the SNP should be taking. She lied to the Parliament for political expediency and to try and help Mr. Sawar in the polls here in Scotland. Because when Labour take a drubbing here in Scotland in 2026, and when Labour take a drubbing in Wales in 2026, Rachel for accounts and Kid Starver, Granny Freezer and Genocide Enabler, although I have to say the Granny Freezing thing and the Kid Starving thing is no stoked. That's the joys of having a surplus. As I say, she played the press like a flute. An absolute flute. And now there's outrage about her playing the press like a flute. If they really want to get her, then they need to get her on the real why. And the real why was she was giving Scotland £820 million because Anna Sawar asked her to. That was a fucking lie. That was a flat out lie, and she knows it was a lie. That 820 million is coming as a consequential because of what's being spent in England. And there's more being spent in 7 devolved regions doing that road than what there is in the whole of the devolved nations. By the day by capita. So there you have it. But that's the lie they want to go after her on, because she knew when she opened her mouth and made that statement that she was lying. She knew that the money coming to Scotland was a consequence, it was for consequentials. But, I mean, I don't see where the calls for her to resign come from. Unless they're going to go after her on the lie that Mr. Sawar put the begging bowl out for 820 quid and she's agreed to give it to Scotland. Was she going to withhold the consequentials, was she? Or is it money that's already been withheld. OBR's Richard Hughes gets the chop, didn't he? Somebody's head was going to have to roll, Ashbury. Somebody's head was going to have to roll. It really was. But as I say, it was a bit of a trick question this morning because she's done both. She's misled and lied. So, but the misled thing, that's allowed. That's allowed. Lying. Misleading Parliament. That's not allowed. And that's what she did in that statement when she's talking about Anna Sava asking her to provide Scotland with 820 million, so she's given it. That's a right lie. That's an out-and-out lie. It's also politicking. But as far as I know, that's no against the rules when you're electing. But lying is. She misled the Parliament and she misled the people on why money was coming to Scotland. It wasn't because some wee snivelling twat in the branch office begged her for it. It was because it was due. So that was an out-and-out lie. The rest of it was just politicking. Politics. And politicians mislead us all the time. Viper Scott's put a link up for the OBR chief having resigned. But it's quite interesting, did she? Now, folks, you've heard me berate another YouTuber on no understanding the left or what the left is, what socialism is. So I thought I would take a wee interlude here for younger viewers who wouldn't have lived through socialism, what it is. Tell them what it is. Then we'll talk a wee bit about socialism 1947 to 1979 and where it all went wrong. Okay. So for any young viewers that might actually stumble across this and don't quite understand what socialism is, we'll put it up. Socialism is an economic and political philosophy that advocates for the common or public ownership of the means of production and distribution of goods, such as factories and natural resources, as opposed to private ownership. The goal is to create a more equitable society by controlling wealth and resources through collective action, often via the state or government. Social ownership can take various forms, including public, cooperative, and collective ownership. Core principles of socialism. Social ownership. The central idea is that resources and industries that create wealth should be owned and controlled by the community or the state, not by private individuals or corporations. Economic equality is also one of its core principles, and that aims to reduce wealth and power disparities by ensuring that the means of production are not concentrated in the hands of a few capitalists. Collective decision making is also a core principle, and it emphasises democratic or collective control over how resources are used and how goods are produced and distributed. Production for use is also a core principle, and the aim is to produce goods and services to meet the needs of the population rather than for private profit. Variations of related concepts, types of ownership. Social ownership can manifest in different ways, such as state-owned enterprise, worker cooperatives, and community-based initiatives. Markets versus non-market socialism. Some socialist systems are non-market, aiming to eliminate markets and market forces entirely, while others are markets socialists, retaining market mechanisms for some aspects of the economy. Then, of course, communism. Communism is often described as a specific, more radical form of socialism based on the ideas of Karl Marx, which seeks to abolish private property and class distinctions entirely. Now, forms of socialism. Here in the UK, we have now got democratic socialism, a form of socialism that operates within a democratic political network framework and is often associated with social democratic parties, which advocate for a strong social safety net and public services. Now, for the younger viewers out there, we here on these islands after the Second World War experimented with socialism, and it led to the creation of the welfare state, the NHS and all these things. We took important infrastructure and important industries into public hands, such as chemical, coal, oil, gas, water, electricity, all come in, it was all in public hands. And then, of course, power to the people get out of fucking hand when we go to the 1970s. It got right out of hand. Up until then, when we were building the welfare state and the safety nets, everything was going well. 1975, round about, things started going tits up. Power had went to the people's heads. The trade unions had lost the fucking plot. Why not? Everybody out. Solidarity, brother. So the place stopped working. And of course, capitalism started to fight back as well. And the capitalism that they were facing was the top of the socialist enterprises, the management. It started getting out of hand. Why not? Everybody out. That led to the 3-day week and the general strike. That also led to collapses of government. And it also led to Margaret Thatcher. She took it gone in the other direction too far as well. There were things that we didn't need to offload. For the car industry. That had to go. The chemical industry. Well, that was the first one to go, actually. The railways, they should have stayed in public hands. Water should have stayed in public hands. Electricity should have stayed in public hands. Everything else, oil and gas should have stayed in public hands. But everything else, by that time, it was just, it went too fucking far. The trade unions held all the power. And as I say, it was solidarity, brothers, one out, everybody out. So for any young people watching, and anybody who wasn't quite aware what socialism was, that's what it was. And the UK did experiment with it. And for a good period of time after the Second World War, we were a socialist country. Prior to that, it was considered social democrat, social democracy. We're still considered a social democracy now, but for a short period of time between 1947 and 1979, we were actually a socialist society. And for a while it worked, until the power went to the people's heads. And it got out of hand. And I mean when it got out of hand. So, I'll tell you how bad it got. Linwood was shut down, car plant Linwood was shut down one week because Queen hadn't renewed the lavvy roll, and the guy who was needing the toilet refilled the bloody thing himself. That wasn't his job. So Queen went to the trade union. Trade union went, oh, we can't be having you doing her job. She'll end up out of a job. Why not? All out. Fucking mental. Car plant shut for a week. Economic illiteracy. Fucking bam pots. Class. A wee bit of the food in the baby banks. Thanks very much. So as I say, for young people who didn't live through the socialist period the way all of us did, I hope that helps. I really do hope that helps. And I might look at some of the other philosophies as we go along as well. I might look at communism, liberalism, neoliberalism, fascism. We might have a look at these. But for young people, that's what socialism is. And the 1970s, go study them. That is a study in how socialism goes wrong. Okay, that is a socialism and study in how socialism goes wrong. The 1970s, when the power of the people went to their heads. a wee food bank fund, cash booster. Thank you very much, guys. I'm going to do the bank tomorrow. As I say, I've already identified the food banks. I'm afraid I'm going to have to do 2 trips again. I was hoping to get it all out tomorrow, but with 2 out tomorrow, and I'll have the 3rd one out the door by Friday. And then after that, folks, whatever's in the account, I'm going to tell you where it is, and I'll tell you where it's gone. Okay? Because it's going out the door as well before Christmas. And whatever we take in the month of December, it will also go to the baby banks as well in January. All right? Because that's generally how we do it. Okay. Right, the story we're going to finish up on. We did the brothers, but we're going to finish up on Sadiq. Where are we? Aye. Chowk Sadiq MP sentenced to 2 years in jail in Bangladesh. In fact, we'll probably finish in your party. I can run through this quite quick. No, can I? Oh, no, I can't. Anyway, Chowk Sadiq, she's been sentenced to 2 years in jail and a £620 fine in their absence in Bangladesh. The judge that sentenced her said, we've got her citizenship number off her passport. She's a Bangladeshi citizen. She can be sentenced in this court, even if she's not going to show up to serve it. I don't know whether they'll put in a extradition request for her or not. And if she doesn't pay the £620, an extra 6 months added to a 2 year sentence, which she's never going to serve because she's never going to go there to serve it. But mere sleaze for Labour. There they've got a backbencher, previously a minister, rising star in the party, allegedly, done with corruption in Bangladesh, where her auntie was the boss, the head honcho, the president or prime minister, whatever they call him there. So for corruption, there's still various charges hanging out her head, by the way, but she's been sentenced to 2 years for corruption and pressing the rant to put pressure on landowners to sell to her mother, her brother and their sister in the outskirts of the capital of Dhaka. Now, the judge that sentenced her, I've got the name here somewhere, Rabul Alam, say he made it clear. She's a citizen. She can be sentenced. Chowk Sadiq, who arrived in the UK aged 5, claims she's never been a Bangladeshi citizen and she's never held a Bangladeshi passport. And I thought, well, how the fuck did she get here? How did she get here? I do understand Islama Eve that there is no extradition agreement between the UK and Bangladesh. I do get that. Doesn't mean they can't request it, because there will be mere sentences piled on top of this 2 years. There's another handful of charges outstanding. Right, we'll finish off on your party born into trauma. Born into trauma ward, and then promptly dies the same day. And the problems that broke socialism down in the 70s are still there, folks. Their conference, their inaugural conference, was a fucking disaster. Sarah Sultana boycotted the first day because apparently people had been booted out the party. Booted out by who? They haven't even fucking constituted yet. And then, of course, when they were going through the motions to put the party into place, every second delegate was attacking another section of the left. The point where I tuned in, it was the Socialist Worker Party that was getting attacked, because apparently they covered up a rape 10 years ago. I'm thinking about it. I think I covered that actually. But no, I didn't. I read it. I definitely didn't cover it because I was broadcasting 9 years. You couldn't make it up. The left are fighting like a fucking bunch of cats in the sack, or rats in the sack, whatever. No real. And then to go and crown it all They pass a motion not to appoint a leader. So there's no focal point. No focal point, no future. Committees are all right in a structure, but the structure's always got to have a head. Fucking, as I say, it was like a war zone. And then Owen Jones asked Corbyn if Sultana was a friend. And the interview was quite enlightening. It's quite clear that Corbyn doesn't like Sultana. Doesn't like Sultana at all. And he was trying to be diplomatic with Owen Jones about it. But going by the interview with Owen Jones, I would say Corbyn didn't want to be there. Sultana definitely didn't want to be there because she boycotted the first fucking day. And it was a disaster. A disaster. And as I said before, 800,000 people just pissed their money out against the wall. Doomed to fail. And doomed to fail for all the reasons that our experimentation with socialism failed. Worked fine from 1947 to 1975. And things went out of fucking hand. And that mob at the year party and Oval Conference, they're still out of fucking hand. Wow. We're watching a battle. We're watching the bloody wrestling. It was funny. So the year party's gone nowhere. So no need to worry about them in the polls. I guess Zach Polanski is going to get a clean run at the left down that road. Labour are on the right. Tories are on the right. Reforms are on the right. The Liberal Democrats down that road are sitting on the fence as usual. So on the left you've got Socialist Worker Party and the Greens. Because your party is going fucking nowhere. It's done. And Stephen Banker, you think Sultana's got too much to say for herself? I don't know much about her, to be honest. I've been paying more attention to Scottish politics over the last 25 years since devolution. It might not be a surprise to people, but I'm not really that fucking interested in that Parliament and that road. I've got to keep up with it because I have to. I have to. I'd much rather it was gone. Or the money's been handed to her. Or is in the process of being handed to her. I'd much rather that Parliament down the road was gone for your life, and that institution that went on fire this morning in Pacific Quay in Glasgow is turned into a public service broadcaster here in Scotland, run by the Scottish people. Right, I've got work to go to, guys. So, better get my hooky out of here. I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found it entertaining. And I hope the young people learn a wee bit about what socialism actually is. As I say, we might, as we go through the episodes of Mondays and Thursdays, I might go on and tackle other political philosophies. Or I might tell the young people of today what the Overton window actually is and how it gets to a point of indicating how a political party is labelled left, right or centre. So the next one I might cover as an interlude might be the Overton window. Or maybe it'll be communism. If you don't think I should keep these wee bits of information being there, then you can tell me in the comments, all right? So there you go, folks. Rachel Reeves didn't just mislead, she lied. Your party died in the trauma ward on the day it was born. And Scottish Parliament fuck up non-domestic tax legislation. Ah, well, there you go. I'm off to work. Have a nice evening. You know what I'm going to say now, didn't you? Independence, independence, independence. Eyes on the prize. The prize is 2026 election. Let's get active and let's win it. I'll be speaking to David tomorrow, Stephen. I wanted to give him a couple of days to rest. Okay, I'll phone him tomorrow morning. So Larry, so I'll tell you what, so Larry, why don't you snip that bit and send it to him, sir? You know, you're quite good with AI. Snip that bit, put my animation against it, and send it to Ivor Van Wanker. Because it would be, I mean, basically that was for him and anybody else under the age of 50 that never lived through the period of socialism when it was being experimented with here in the UK. Because we were a socialist country for a period of time, as you know, 1947 to 1979. The socialist experiment. That's how it will be recorded in history. And I went through how it lived and died. So catch you all later. Eyes on the prize. Bye for now. Oh, 10:30. Don't be late. It's a naughty step.